I'm Meeples, and we're going to take you through our top 50 replayable games. To us, a replayable game means it hits the table quickly, we can put it away quickly, and we enjoy playing it time and time again.
Starting off the list at number 50 is Crystal Palace. This is dice worker placement where you use your dice to bid on different actions throughout the board. I would say that the actions itself and playing against the other players is where the replayability comes in. The board and the cards itself don't change that much.
No, but there are different cards that come out at different times that will drive your engine as to what you want to build. Number 49 is a classic. It is Carcassonne. The replayability for this game strictly comes out on the variation of the tiles, how they come out, and where other players place them. So it's again another play the player, but no setup time, which is amazing for replayability. So that's what really puts it on the list.
Yeah, and I think the two mini expansions that come in the box now for pretty much any copy you get, the River and the Abbot, add quite a bit of gameplay as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So similarly, another tile line game, number 48, is going to be 100 Tory. In the 100 Tory, it's a tile laying game and it pretty much has the same general drafting mechanic as Carcassonne, except you have two tiles and you get to select which one you put down. You're going to select a tile and you're going to just walk through it to try to collect different resources which you trade in for victory points. The one interesting thing in this game is when you're doing that, you're trying to make sure that you're also kind of blocking out your opponents from getting a good move and combo chain.
And there's workers you can hire that really allow you to block out the other person, but you're spending things that score your points. Number 47 is Heat. This is fairly new, but we really like the fact that you're going to be upgrading your cars. Something is always going to change. You're managing your heat and you're building up your engine, tires, and everything else to go with it. System that looks like you might be able to expand it in the future, which is really cool. Because if you love the game, you're going to get a lot of play out of this box, and there's potential to get more into the system.
Yeah, it comes on a double-sided board, and there's also like kind of a beginner mode and then a more advanced mode where you're just kind of like building out your car. So within the core box, there's a ton of gameplay, and knowing Days of Wonder, there's probably some more coming. Number 46 is Snowdonia, whether it be the original or the newer deluxe version. I think the thing that makes Snowdonia very replayable, you're trying to basically clear a path up the Snowdonia mountain with your tracks. There's weather cards, and the weather cards in this game, more than pretty much any other game I can think of, really dictate what you're doing. If it snows, you have to only certain actions you can do. If it's too rains, if there's a sun, you can do different actions. So you're always going to kind of be working your way up that mountain at a different speed, and then you always collect different victory point cards as well that are going to change what you're doing.
45 is ISS Vanguard. Now this is a huge box game, and I know you might say, why replayable? It's kind of a legacy game, you're moving through a story, but you get 30 hours at a minimum in the box. You're not destroying anything in this legacy game. In theory, you can put it all back in the box the way it was, and you can play it again, and depending on what actions you take, depending on the people you recruit, the gameplay is going to change, even if the story is the same.
Within this game, it kind of has like branching chains of like pick your own adventure. So if you play on a second playthrough, you can say, okay, the first time I did this, maybe I'll branch off and do this. And there's lots of dice rolling as well, so you're constantly rolling dice, and that just in and of itself is going to make that experience different every time you play it. Number 44 is just this general system. This is the Terra Mystica system. This is Clans of Caledon, but Terra Mystica has it. Clans of Caledon has it. Gaia Project has it. So this whole general system, I would say, counts. In this one, you're kind of moving your way around the board. You're collecting resources. You're doing a lot of resource trading. But all those games are going to play differently. All are interactive, and all have a number of different characters that play differently. So every time you're going to play this, regardless of the system, it's always going to be a little bit different.
And I have to say, at a higher player count, it's more interactive
for sure,
and more replayable based on game experience. Coming in at 43 is Bonfire. This is a game that I think is underrated. It is a fantastic worker placement, resource management game where you are collecting things, doing things, moving different characters in different areas of the board. But because of its artwork, I think it has that underwhelming table presence. Even though the meeples are colorful, there's lots of amazing wooden bits. The actual artwork's just a little gloomy, and if it was rebranded, people would hit the table a lot more often.
I'm going to disagree. I actually like the artwork in the game. I think it is kind of colorful with that blue board. It takes nice photos. I think the one thing with this game, it's Stefan Feld game. So it's a point salad-y kind of, you're trading things in for points, but there are these gnome cards. I think they're gnomes or elves or whatever the little monster thing is that you're buying. And you're buying cards that you can use their powers. And I find within most of our gameplay, cards that you buy early on in the game can kind of dictate the path. So we've played this a number of times. We can crack out the games pretty quickly, but they're always a little bit different. Number 42 is Dead Reckoning. This is like a 4X game where you're going around, you're exploring, you're fighting, you're building up. I think the thing that makes this one replayable and different is the card crafting mechanism. So you have a handful of cards and they're basically your pirates that you're working off of. When you go and do different actions, you pillage, you plunder, you do whatever, you upgrade your cards, you keep the same number of cards, but you're slotting in different like see-through.
So you're taking there's a sleeve and you're just adding in additional codes, which are upgrading your codes and making them more powerful.
Yeah, the only kind of negative for me from a replayability standpoint is some of the setup here. Even though it comes with like nice little boxes, you can put everything away, it does take a little bit longer to set up. And I find one thing with replayability is I want to be able to get that game out and get it away fairly quickly so I can just go through it.
That's replayability. We want to play it often. Therefore, if you want to play it often, you got to be able to get it on and off the table quickly. 41 is Gates of Blowing. This is a game that had left our collection because of him, but has been brought back in. It's replayable because of the fact that you're interacting with other players. They can steal from you. They can take a code that you want, and you are going to be kind of in a race to sell certain vegetables, fulfill contracts, and marshal your way up the track. I love the way they do the scoring in this game. You can move up for $1, but if you want to move up a second one, it's going to cost you more. So you want to be building that engine right off the gate so that you can marshal up your points. It's fairly easy to set up with the way that we have it showed, and it was one of our first games. I'd say we've played it over 50 times ourselves.
I like the gate pun, so I'll give you that one. I definitely find the interactivity helps out a lot. And I also find, like, from an Uwe Rosenberg standpoint, this still has like a little bit of a farming feel, but it's not one of his well-known games. I don't even know if this is in print right now. But I definitely find this one very replayable and probably more interactive than a lot of his other titles.
We're the Marathon Meeples, and we're going to take you through our top 50 replayable games. To us, a replayable game means it hits the table quickly, we can put it away quickly, and we enjoy playing it time and time again.